next reader is Janet Graham, who is working on a memoir. It centres around a tragedy, a bike accident that her husband had, which left him brain injured. This is a condensed chapter from when they first met, and Janet has been writing with Rachel for 2 years and is one of my closest pals.
He gave my nipple a little twist in a parking lot near Malibu Lake. It was the night we finished shooting the final scene of Transplant, the movie that brought us together 33 years ago. He was 53 then, same age as my father. Billy Graham, film director with ruddy good looks, a lifetime of experience, and the world by the tail. I was 26, a production assistant just getting started. I had a cute ass, an appetite for adventure, and a whole lot of stars in my eyes. It was ballsy of him to touch my nipple like that. In the parking lot, the very first time he leaned over and placed his sweet lips on mine. Maybe it was kind of seductive of me to have nipples like that stood out hard and erect, begging for a twist. The air on the lake was crisp and cool that night. That didn't stop my body's furnace heating up so hot I couldn't tell if it was him or me, or maybe us, combusting. We walked side by side in the new moon darkness on the lake path to our cars. The smell of abundance thick in the air. Musty lake water, deep, dark, mysterious. Methylated eucalyptus, clean, fresh pine, and the greatest smell of all, the faint scent of tar from the super cool, waxy black motorcycle jacket he was wearing. This all began as a resort and real estate development in the 20s, he said. Canvas ditty bags filled with gadgets and gear hung from both shoulders, light meters, cameras, a small pair of binoculars, and glasses for different distances, all hung around his neck. Really, I said, finding myself curiously interested in everything this man said. The gliding elegance of his hands, the tranquil lake lined with trees and twinkling lights from the large ranch homes surrounding it made for the serenity I felt inside. 2 wealthy businessmen bought a bunch of acres, built a dam across a couple of converging creeks, hoping to form a lake. It was dry as a bone for a while, until a huge storm came in and poured millions of gallons of rainwater right into that spot. Those were some lucky guys. My footsteps fell into rhythm with the frogs' serenade, chirping and croaking, thinking about how some people are lucky and others just aren't. A lot of movies have been made on this lake, he said, with a lively bounce in his step. After a 14-hour day, I had a hard time keeping up with this guy, 27 years older than me. Which ones? I clung to his words as we fast approached the lot where our cars were parked. RKO's 1931 production of Frankenstein. For one, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Armand Flint. He shrugged, just to name a few. His casual way of just tossing out information made me kind of weak at the knees. Oh yeah, and Bad Seed. Ever see Bad Seed? Are you kidding me? That was my favorite movie as a kid. I remembered my obsession with that black and white film about that perfect mother housewife who discovers that her angelic, pigtailed young daughter is a heartless killer. That kid made the bad inside of me seem so good. He put his bags down on the ground next to his car. I love your jacket, I said, touching the sleeve. Feels so good, like skin. I love the way it smells, too. It's a bell staff, he said, unhooking a set of keys hanging from the silver fob on his belt. That's wax you're feeling. You gotta keep these jackets conditioned. He unlocked his door and turned to me. You like motorcycles? Yeah, I said, but I've never really been on one. The thought of sitting behind him on that motorcycle, putting my arms around his waist, it sent a liquid rush swooshing into my belly, pulling at my navel like a falling tide. I'll take you for a ride sometime. I got a BMW with a Russian sidecar. He took his jacket off and threw it in the back seat, Ever been to the rock store? What's that? Only one of the most famous biker hangouts in the world, right around the corner on Mulholland Highway. He picked his bags up off the ground and put them on the back seat of his car, slipped the various neck cords over his head, hung them on a hook above the window, slammed the door shut and stood looking at me with his hot blue gaze pulling at the latches in my heart. I leaned against the front door of his pale yellow Mercedes, looked up at the specks of cold white light shivering in the midnight canopy stretched over our heads. With the cosmos forever altered, I fumbled my way toward the hardest word for me to say, goodbye. The shoot was over, and so too our day-to-day contact. I stood close to him for maybe the last time ever in a hot chill on the clearest night of my life, feeling the heat of his breath as his lips closed around mine in a kiss that made the palpitations in my stomach pulsate and peak into ripples of pure pink pleasure. My nipple between his forefinger and thumb, a gentle twist.